how JPS took over Jamaica's power grid, and why that might finally end. Imagine living in a country where one company controls the power that lights your home, powers your business, and runs your life. That's not science fiction. That's Jamaica. For over 100 years, the Jamaica Public Service Company, better known as JPS, has been the undisputed gatekeeper of electricity in Jamaica. Whether you live in Kingston, Mandeville, or Montego Bay, JPS is the company behind your power bill, month after month, year after year. But on July 1st, 2025, everything changed. Energy Minister Darrell Vaz dropped a bombshell. The government will not renew JPS's exclusive license when it expires in July 2027.
I wrote the Jamaica Public Service Company and gave formal notice of the government's intention upon expiration of the current all-island license not to renew under existing terms.
After decades of dominance, the JPS monopoly might finally be facing its reckoning. Some see this as a long overdue revolution. Others see chaos ahead. Either way, the end of an era is near, and the story of how we got here is one Jamaicans need to understand. This video dives deep into how JPS rose to power, how they maintain their grip on Jamaica's energy sector for generations, and why that grip may now be slipping. This isn't just a corporate story, it's a tale of colonial legacy, foreign ownership, political decisions, and the struggle of everyday Jamaicans to afford one of life's most basic needs, electricity. The early years, a colonial seed is planted. Electricity first came to Jamaica in 1892, astonishingly early for a Caribbean colony. Just over a decade after Thomas Edison's electric light debuted in New York, parts of Kingston flickered to life. But back then, power was provided by a mix of small, disconnected systems, mostly run by municipalities or private businessmen serving urban centers. By the early 20th century, private capital stepped in to modernize the grid. In 1923, the Jamaica Public Service Company was formed, backed by British and Canadian investors. Its mission was simple: consolidate and expand electrical service across the island. Over the next few decades, JPS gained traction, not just by improving infrastructure, but by negotiating exclusive rights to supply electricity in many parishes. In 1945, just as the winds of decolonization were beginning to stir, the colonial government gave JPS an all-island franchise. That law made JPS the sole legal provider of electricity generation and distribution across Jamaica. It was a classic colonial-era concession, granting a private monopoly in exchange for national service. It also set the stage for the monopolistic power structure that still affects Jamaicans today. Post-independence, a nation, a company, a dream. After independence in 1962, the Jamaican government moved to take greater control of critical infrastructure. JPS, seen as too strategic to remain fully in foreign hands, was nationalized over time. By the late 1970s, the Jamaican government owned 100% of the company. This move was seen as patriotic and pragmatic. In a time of global oil shocks and economic upheaval, controlling electricity was about sovereignty. Yet, the nationalized JPS struggled. Outdated infrastructure, rising demand, and global fuel prices overwhelmed the system. Blackouts became common. Losses piled up. The government, dealing with IMF pressure and budget crises, began looking for a way out. And so came the great shift: privatization. In 2001, under a broader wave of neoliberal reforms, the Jamaican government sold 80% of JPS to Morant Corporation, an Atlanta-based U.S. energy firm. The aim? Inject foreign capital, improve efficiency, and modernize Jamaica's energy sector. But many didn't realize that they were also handing over Jamaica's energy future to a foreign entity, with a license that was nearly impossible to challenge. The monopoly years, foreign ownership, local frustration. The 2001 license granted to JPS gave the company a legally protected monopoly on transmission and distribution for 20 years, later extended to 2027. No other company could sell electricity to the public without JPS's approval. It was more than a contract. It was a legal fortress. Meanwhile, JPS changed hands multiple times. From Morant to Marubeni of Japan, and later, to Korea East-West Power. Today, JPS is owned 40% by Marubeni, 40% by Korea East-West Power, and 19.9% by the government of Jamaica, with the remainder in tiny local shares. The system that started as a nationalist project now served foreign shareholders, not local citizens. JPS has not just been surviving, it's been thriving. In 2023, JPS reported a net profit of $68 million, up from $54 million in 2022 and $42 million in 2021. Revenues exceeded $1.16 billion. These profits are not staying in Jamaica. Dividends are paid out to the foreign stakeholders, Japan and Korea, with the Jamaican government receiving a smaller slice of the pie. In 2018, for example, $10 million in dividends was paid out, $4 million each to Marubeni and KEPCO, and just $2 million to the Jamaican government. That's money Jamaicans paid on their light bills, funneled mostly overseas. While a portion benefits local investors and pension schemes, the vast majority of profit leaves the island. For a population struggling to afford electricity, this model has become increasingly hard to justify. The people push back, outrage, petitions, blackouts. Over the years, protests flared. From angry town hall meetings in Clarendon to legal battles in Kingston, Jamaicans voiced their rage. In 2012, hundreds marched on JPS's headquarters, demanding an end to estimated bills and oppressive reconnection fees. A 2021 petition calling for the end of JPS's monopoly gained tens of thousands of signatures. Social media made it worse for JPS. Every outage went viral. Every high bill became a meme. The distrust deepened. JPS, for its part, launched PR campaigns, promised upgrades, and partnered with small solar projects. But the structure didn't change. The monopoly remained. Then came the energy crisis of 2022 to 2024. Global oil prices spiked, and JPS passed the cost to consumers. Bills hit record highs. Even middle-class families struggled to keep their lights on. Talk of reform turned into talk of revolution. Pressure mounted on the government to act, and fast. The 2025 decision. A reckoning begins. On July 1st, 2025, Energy Minister Darrell Vaz made the announcement. The government would not renew JPS's license under the existing terms. For the first time in decades, Jamaica was considering alternatives. Citing Condition 27 of the license, Vaz said the government will open up a new round of consultations and possibly put the contract out to tender. That means new companies, local or foreign, could apply to run Jamaica's electricity grid, either in partnership with JPS or as full replacements. Minister Fayval Williams said the goal is to create a new licensing model that's more consumer-friendly, more transparent, and more aligned with Jamaica's clean energy goals. No more blank check monopolies. No more one-sided deals. The future. Can Jamaica break free? The big question now is, what comes next? Will JPS reinvent itself and win back public trust under a fairer contract? Or will the government invite competition, perhaps from renewable energy providers, Caribbean investors, or even diaspora-led cooperatives? Some worry about political interference. Others worry about reliability during the transition. But most Jamaicans seem ready for change. The conversation is no longer about whether JPS should continue, but under what conditions. If done right, this could be Jamaica's greatest energy reform since independence, bringing in cheaper power, cleaner sources, and more public accountability. If done wrong, it could lead to lawsuits, blackouts, and chaos. Who holds the switch? JPS didn't just supply electricity, it held power. Political power, economic power, emotional power, and now that power is being challenged. For the average Jamaican, this moment isn't about energy contracts or legal clauses. It's about dignity, justice, and the right to affordable light. The story of JPS is the story of Jamaica, our colonial roots, our economic struggles, and our ongoing fight to control our own destiny. The lights are still on for now, but what happens after 2027 depends on who holds the switch.
JPS was written pursuant to Condition 27 of the license, which provides the government of Jamaica to acquire the licensed business at the expiration of the terms of the license. That expiration date is July 8th, 2027.